Once again, welcome back to Obstetrics and Gynecology videos. Today we are going to see about the second part of antepartum hemorrhage. In the first part, we have seen about the placenta previa, and in the second part, we are going to see about the abruptio placenta. So first, let us see what is antepartum hemorrhage. This is bleeding from or into the genital tract occurring from 24th week of pregnancy and prior to the birth of the baby. It's otherwise known as third trimester bleeding. Already we have seen it in the video about the placenta previa. And we have seen the causes of antepartum hemorrhage also, but once again let us discuss it over here. The causes of antepartum hemorrhage can be divided into, or it can be placental causes, extraplacental causes, and unexplained causes. The placental causes is the reason for the 70% of the antepartum hemorrhage, and this include two main reasons. 35% can be due to placenta previa and 35% can be due to abruptio placenta. And unexplained causes includes there won't be any particular reason. All of a sudden the lady will get bleeding without any particular reason. And extraplacental causes that contributes 5% of the antepartum hemorrhage, and it may be due to the local cervicovaginal lesions, cervical polyp, carcinoma of the cervix, varicose vein, or maybe due to the local trauma. And in this video, we are going to see about the placental abruption or accidental hemorrhage because of the placental abruption. Abruptio placenta or placental abruption means it's an abnormal premature separation of a normally implanted placenta. That is, before the delivery of the baby, the placenta will get separated. We know that usually the placental separation will occur in the third stage of labor, that is after the delivery of the baby. But here what will happen means before the delivery of the baby, the placenta will get separated, and that condition we are calling as the abruptio placenta. There are various types of abruption depending upon the extent and region of separation. It can be a complete abruption or a partial abruption or maybe a marginal abruption. Complete abruptio placenta occurs when the entire placenta is getting separated. So the complete placenta will get separated from the uterus, and that is known as the placental complete abruption of the placenta. Here you can see that picture. Complete placenta has got separated. And partial abruption means when a part of the placenta separates from the uterine wall. Here you can see again still some more parts of the uterus placenta is attached to the upper segment. This portion this margin is attached to the uterus, so only a part of the placenta is separated. And marginal separation occurs when the separation is limited to the edge of the placenta. Only an edge of the placenta has got separated, but other portions are still intact. It is not separated, only the margin of the portion placenta is separated. So these are the three types according to the degree of extension of the separation. And the main feature of this abruptio placenta is the lady will get vaginal bleeding with abdominal pain. And the abruption occurs when bleeding in the decidua basalis causes separation of the placenta and further bleeding. Actually, if slight bleeding is occurring because of one or other reason, sometimes it may be due to the injury, sometimes it may be due to the unexplained causes. So what will happen means that blood will get collected in the decidua basalis, that is between the placenta and the endometrium, and this blood will form a clot, and this clot formation may leads to the separation of the placenta further, or that may leads to the further separation of the placenta and further bleeding. So that is the one reason for the complete separation. If little portion has got separated, the other portion also will get separated due to this clot formation and due to the weight of that clot. And the main feature, already I have told you, that the lady will get the vaginal bleeding with abdominal pain, and smaller or marginal abruptions may be present with the bleeding only. That is, if it is a mild separation, sometimes the lady may not be having the pain, only bleeding will be there. And in the case of concealed hemorrhage, that is, it's not compulsory that in all the cases bleeding should be there. Sometimes the blood or the bleeding amount, blood, whatever blood is coming out of the separated placenta will remain inside the uterus itself. So it will get trapped behind the placenta and it won't be able to escape because other two portions are still not separated. So the blood which is leaking will get collected between the endometrium and the placenta, and that blood will remain over there. So in that case, external bleeding will not be there. And in severe cases, painful uterine contractions may be there, and significant variations in the fetal heart rate will be there. And finally, if the bleeding is severe, sometimes that may lead to the death of the baby also. And the risk factors for the abrupture placenta includes hypertension, preeclampsia, multiple gestation, advanced maternal age, multiparity, smoking, use of cocaine, chorioamnionitis, that is inflammation of the amnion and chorion, trauma, that is fall, history of accidents, all those things, and previous history of placental abruption, and elevated levels of maternal serum alpha fetoprotein, especially in the second trimester. If it is there, there is a chance for entry of this alpha fetoprotein into the maternal circulation through the placental uterine surface, and that may lead to the separation of the placenta. So these are the risk factors, or these ladies or these people are having the risk of getting the abrupture placenta. The clinical features of abrupture placenta include, first one is vaginal bleeding, and if you are observing the nature of the blood, it will be dark in color and clot formation won't be there, clots won't be there. Abdominal pain will be there in majority of the cases, and sometimes if the blood is not coming out, this blood will enter into the myometrium, that is extravasation of blood will occur into the myometrium, and that condition is known as covular uterus. And uterine contractions will be there, and the uterus will be tender, and this uterine contractions may be very frequent also. And finally, if the bleeding is severe, there's a chance for getting hypovolemic shock, and due to the shock, the pulse rate will increase, and if hypovolemia is there, means the pulse rate will increase, blood pressure will increase, and peripheral vasoconstriction also will be there. And along with this, the lady may get nausea, anxiety, restlessness, and fainting. And if you are observing the fetus, reduced fetal movements will be there. And if you are palpating the abdomen, in the case of concealed type, that is if the blood is not coming out, the uterus will be tender. That is, if you are describing, it will be woody hard. It will be like a wooden piece, and the uterus may be larger than the suggested week of gestation. That is because of the blood collection over there, the size of the uterus will increase, and it will be difficult for you to palpate the fetus. So these are the findings you can identify when you're doing the abdominal palpation. And in the case of, so these findings you can see in the case of concealed or in the case of complete type. And in the case of partial type, the uterine size may be correlated with the gestational age, and the fetus may be easily palpated. And in this case, sometimes fetus may not be affected because only mild bleeding is there. And if the baby is affected, the baby will be having fetal distress, and finally it may leads to the death of the baby also. And the fetal distress and death of the baby is the main problem that can occur in the case of abrupture placenta. The diagnosis of abrupture placenta is mainly on the basis of the signs and symptoms. If the lady is having painful vaginal bleeding, you can suspect the abrupture placenta. And if you are palpating the uterus, if you are feeling that the uterus is tender, and if uterine contractions are there, you can confirm the diagnosis. And otherwise, you can go for the ultrasonography. In the ultrasonography, you can identify the retroplacental clots, that is clot formation in between the placenta and the endometrium. And if you're performing the ultrasonography, it will help you to differentiate whether the bleeding is due to placenta previa or due to the abrupture placenta. But in some cases, even if you're doing the ultrasonography also, you may not see the features of abrupture placenta, mainly if it is only a mild separation. In that case, you will be able to identify it only after the delivery of the placenta, that is in the third stage of labor. Next, we can see the management of abrupture placenta. The main thing, you should monitor the maternal and fetal condition continuously. In the fetal monitoring, mainly you should see the fetal signs of fetal distress, that is you should identify the fetal heart sound. And in the maternal condition, you should see the blood coagulation factors, and you should see the fluid level of the mother also. You should see whether the mother is having signs of hypovolemia. And if it is there, you can go for the fluid administration. And the expectant management we are doing if the baby is a preterm baby, and if only mild separation is there and only mild bleeding is there, you can postpone or you can wait the delivery, or you can delay the delivery till the baby is achieving the lung maturity. And next is delivery of the fetus. If there is no symptoms of fetal distress, if fetal distress is not there, or if fetal death has happened already, in these two cases you can go for the vaginal delivery. For that you can perform the artificial rupture of the membrane, then you can start the oxytocin and you can achieve the vaginal delivery. But if fetal distress is there, means you should go for the cesarean immediately in order to save the life of the baby. Next, we can see the complications of abruptio placenta. It includes maternal complications and fetal complications. The maternal complications mainly that may lead to the maternal mortality, and there is a chance for recurrence of antepartum hemorrhage. There is 10% chance is there for the recurrence in the subsequent pregnancy, and chance for hypovolemic shock, mainly if the bleeding is concealed. All of a sudden the lady may get the shock, and if hypovolemia is there, chance for acute renal failure is there due to the decreased renal perfusion. And disseminated intravascular coagulation, that is abruption, is the most common cause of coagulopathy in pregnancy. That is, when the bleeding is occurring, the platelet level will come down, fibrinogen level also will come down, and that may lead to the clot formation. And if you are assessing the platelet time and prothrombin time, all these things will be prolonged. And in the postpartum period, there is a chance for postpartum hemorrhage, mainly if covular uterus is there. That is, covular uterus means, already I have told you that if extravasation of blood is occurring into the myometrium, that condition we are calling as covular uterus, and that is blood will penetrate into the uterus to an extent of the serosal layer of the uterus, and in that case the uterus will be blue or purple in color. In the case of covular uterus, the uterus will be blue or purple in color. And if feto-maternal hemorrhage, that is if bleeding is occurring towards the baby, there is a chance for RH sensitization in the case of RH negative mother. So in that case, you should go for the Kleher's test in order to identify the RH isoimmunization. So these are the complications you can expect in the maternal side. And when it is coming to the fetal side, there is a chance for perinatal mortality, that is 4.5 to 60% depending on the neonatal facilities, and it is closely related to the gestational age, and it is associated with other complications like hypertension and growth retardation of the baby. That is, mainly there is a chance for mortality, death of the baby, and there is a chance for intrauterine growth retardation. That is, when the bleeding is occurring and when the placenta is getting separated, the baby may not get sufficient nutrients, and mainly this will occur in the case of maternal hypertension and the case of preeclampsia. And there is a chance for neonatal anemia also because of the insufficient supply. So these are the main complications of the abruptio placenta. Now we can see the main differences between placenta previa and abruptio placenta. If you are looking into the clinical features, in the nature of bleeding, in the case of placenta previa, the bleeding will be painless and there won't be any reason for the bleeding, and it will be recurrent, and sometimes it is revealed, it won't be concealed thing. But when it is coming to the abruptio placenta, in majority of the cases it will be painful and it will be continuous, and it can be revealed or it can be concealed. And if you are observing the character of the blood, it will be bright red in color in the case of placenta previa, and in the case of abruptio placenta it will be dark colored. And in the general exam condition and in the anemia, actually the general condition of the mother is proportionate to the visible blood loss in the case of placenta previa, but in the case of abruptio placenta it may not be proportionate to the visible blood loss, especially in the case of concealed and in the case of mixed also. And if you are looking into the duration of bleeding, often ceases within 1 to 2 hours. That is, if the bleeding is occurring, also it will get stopped within 1 to 2 hours in the case of placenta previa, and in the case of abruptio placenta it will be continuous. And when you are doing the abdominal examination, the height of the uterus will be proportionate to the gestational age in the placenta previa, and it will be disproportionate to the gestational age, especially in the case of concealed. And when you're palpating the uterus will be soft and relaxed in the case of placenta previa, and it will be tense, tender and rigid in the case of abruptio placenta. And the malpresentations, it is common in the case of placenta previa, and the head will be high and floating, that is engagement of the head may not occur. But here it's not compulsory to have the malpresentations. And if you are assessing the fetal heart sound, in the case of placenta previa, it will be present and it will be normal also. But in the case of abruptio placenta, especially if it is a major separation, if it is a complete separation, the FHS will be absent, and even if it is present also, loss of variability will be there, decelerations will be there in the fetal heart rate, and sometimes intrauterine fetal death also will happen. And if you are looking for the associated history, that is cause, mainly for the cause, there won't be any associated history for the placenta previa. But in the case of abruptio placenta, sometimes the lady may be having the history of trauma, or sometimes she may be having the history of hypertension, multiple gestation, or polyhydramnios. And if you are doing the placentography of ultrasonography, you can see the placenta in the lower segment, but in the case of abruptio placenta, it may not be in the it won't be in the lower segment, it will be in the upper segment only. And if you're doing the pervaginal examination, you can feel the placenta in the lower segment. In the case of placenta previa, actually you are not supposed to do the pervaginal examination, you should do only the visualization. You can do the speculum examination. So if you're doing the speculum examination, you can see the placenta in the lower segment, but in the case of abruptio placenta, you cannot see it in the lower segment of the uterus. So these are the main things about the abruptio placenta. Thank you for watching this video. See you soon with a new video. Bye.